Hey everybody, it's Jenny McGarvey from Keep It Simple Paper Crafts, and I am here with you today with 5 projects. That's right. So I did not want to delay getting down to the cutting and gluing and all of that of these beautiful projects. We have 2 layouts and 3 cards, and I just could not wait to share how we used our Back to Basics collection for everything Christmas. Now I have already pre-worked on some of this, cut and glued all of that, and I'm keeping all of these in our paper keeper. The heavy duty plastic with the snap and the gusset at the bottom is perfect for all of these items. As you can see, not only did I cut from using my Silhouette and a cut file these awesome trees, but I glued the pattern paper to the back as well so that we could get to 5 projects instead of maybe just doing 1 or 2. Isn't that exciting? So let's trim off the top and get down to work. We're using the buffalo plaid as the base for our project, and I absolutely already love buffalo plaid. Hopefully you do too. And I'm going to also add this strip of white cardstock at the top and the bottom of the layout. Not only am I going to use the white cardstock, but we'll also add the green stripe. I love the tone on tone, the darker green and the lighter green. They just really make a super basic pattern. However, it really just adds a lot of interest and really brings all of this in together, highlighting the center where we have the photo and the trees and all of the other important parts of our layout. Now, like our previous weeks here at the Scrapbook Expo at home, we will have a project sheet where you can download all of the instructions and dimensions for each of these projects, and that will be easy to do, and you will be able to recreate these projects that you are seeing at home. So now you can see that I've got that all finished with the strips at the top and the bottom, and I really love how that just draws your eye into the center. Isn't that super cute? And it's just the perfect base for a Christmas layout. Now I have gone ahead and matted my photo on white cardstock just to allow for it to pop it right off the page and really draw your eye in. Now I have used a little tag that's included in the ephemera that comes with our collection pack. That's right. So not only do you get the heavy duty, amazing, high quality patterned papers, but you also get a sheet of ephemera that is super versatile. Lots of really basic shapes. Haha, no pun on Back to Basics, but it will really allow you to have lots of different varying frames and tags and photo corners, etc. for your crafting needs. So I'm simply tying a little piece of white twine to the edge of this. I've wrapped it around twice just to make it a little bit more substantial. And now I'm going to adhere it to the page. Now it's not going to stand alone, so I'm leaving it peeking out a little bit further than maybe I would if it was going to stand alone. But because it's not, I'm letting a little bit of it hang out from beneath the photo. So now, as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and finally get that photo adhered to the page. And then we'll take the red heart and add the adhesive to the back and adhere it on top of that tag. It's just such a clever way to create a really simple embellishment cluster, but not go crazy or anything like that. Now I'm going to use this liquid glue. It just has a really fine, really actually like a pen tip, and I will use that to adhere my journaling strips right there alongside the photo and below that tag. I like the wet glue for these tiny little details because it's easy to get right where I need it. I don't have to worry about excess adhesive getting on my workspace, but then also I can manipulate this a little bit more when it's down on the paper. So if, for example, I didn't get it straight or something like that, I can readjust it a little bit better without having to pull it up off the paper. I just think wet glue also has its purposes, especially wet glue that's created especially for paper crafting, as to not warp the page or anything like that, but it allows you a little bit more versatility when you're creating. So now we've got these strips, and I did vary where they're starting and ending just to add a little bit more interest. And we're going to finish up with the journaling, which is always an important part for any layout. Am I right? I like to add typewritten journaling using the computer, but I also think it's really important to occasionally add handwritten journaling as well, because your handwriting is also a very important part of each layout. Am I right? So I'm using the same pen, glue pen or whatever, for my title of Christmas over on the side. It's a beautiful script that just spells out the word Christmas, and you'll be able to download all of these cut files with the rest of the information for the layouts as well. So you'll be able to have this beautiful Christmas for your projects too. Now I'm just getting that all lined up and straightened out and adhered down, and then we can get to work on all those amazing trees. I just love them because not only are they super cute and Christmassy, but they're all varied. So you have 4 different trees, starting this one. I love this one in the center because I love how it looks with not only the patterned paper, but then you have the different colors, and we're going to add the foam adhesive on the back to pop it up off the page and give a little bit added dimension for this layout. Now we're going to do the same thing with all of these by using the foam adhesive, but we are going to layer them all and stagger them all just a little bit as well. And I love how that all comes together. Now I'm using foam squares. You can use whatever dimensional adhesive you prefer. I like the foam squares because they're easy to use and get them to fit properly in the spaces that you want them. I'm adding enough foam squares to not only adhere it to the page, but also provide support for each piece as well. But I don't want to overdo it because I don't need to use too much adhesive. Am I right? So now we're just going to find the perfect layout for each little tree. I just love how this is coming together. It's so cute, and each of these trees is positively adorable. We're also using a varied different pattern paper on the background of each tree. So each tree isn't the same, and it's hard to see on the video, but we will have all of this information for you in that project sheet. But I love how then it just creates a whole lot of different fun, beautiful things to look at, even though we are not using a huge variety of embellishments on this layout. We're using the cut files instead, and I just love that. And it shows how our Back to Basics collection is so versatile and easy to use for just absolutely anything. Now, I don't know if you've had a chance to pick up our enamel dots yet, but I'm in love with them. I love having an entire sheet that is devoted to one color family. So like this right now, I'm using our lemon ones to just accent the stars on the tops of the trees. I absolutely love that because there's 3 different sizes and 3 different shades of the same color. And so now I can not only use the yellow or the lemon for the star, but I can also add in some of the ornaments on the trees as well, or bulbs if you prefer to call them bulbs. I just think this is such a clever way to embellish a page, but really use a lot of the basics that you already have on hand, like these from our Back to Basics collection. Now, I don't know if you've checked these out, our Back to Basics, but I absolutely love so many of the colors, though I'm not going to lie, I think the lemon is my favorite collection pack, but I am a big fan of the yellows. Now, the royal is wonderful because it's super versatile, but if you have masculine pages to do, I mean, talk about an entire collection devoted to blue and being able to use it for different sports pages or different just little boy pages or grown men or whatever. It's just awesome because I know it can be hard to find those bits and pieces that really coordinate for masculine projects. So now we're just still adding in the center tree different enamel dots for making it look like bulbs. Again, I know it's a little bit easier on those outside trees because there's obvious spots for those, but for this one we are able to just add the bulbs in the center of the tree to create that cluster, just like all of our regular Christmas trees each season. Am I right? Now, last but not least, we're going to continue to build on that center tree using the jade enamel dots. They're just so wonderful. I love the different shades and how, again, it continues that tone on tone pattern, or you know what I'm trying to say, don't you? The tone on tone of those colors. It's just amazing, and I love this layout. You don't have to go crazy to have an amazing page. Now I'm going to show you that again here with this ho 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 layout. Again, I've got all of my items pre-ready for you so we can get down to creating. I put it in our paper keeper and have already backed my cut file with patterned paper. I also already worked on my journaling as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and start by trimming off the top of the patterned paper, and I love this one because for some reason this pattern really reminds me of a bandana, and that just feels really fun and whimsical, even though it's probably not remotely bandana related. For some reason, that's what it reminds me of. So now I'll adhere the photo down that I've already backed with white cardstock. And this cut file, like I said already, I already adhered the pattern paper to the back. I like to work on cut files like this when I'm hanging out with my family. So say we're watching a show or a movie, I can work on the patterned paper backgrounds of cut files while I'm hanging out with them. And I think that's a really fun way to incorporate my hobby along with my family time as well. So now we've got the bulk of the layout here already. And I did print my journaling, but one thing that I realized as I was getting ready to do this was the journaling was too big. But after thinking about it for a little bit, I came up with a solution, and I could have just redone all of this for you. But I decided to share with you how sometimes things don't go exactly as planned. But side note, I'm adding the photo corners to the top and the bottom, and I love the way the photo corners look on a layout. I genuinely just think this is such a great embellishment. Not only does it really anchor the page together, but like in this case, by only using it in the 2 corners as opposed to all 4, it really points your eye to the center of the page, and I just absolutely love that. It really brings the focal point into where it belongs. Now, this little label is just so wonderful to slide under here and just add the date for this particular layout. I love that idea too, because maybe you want to use the typewriter or the journaling on the computer, or maybe you just want to handwrite a little bit. Now, here's the solution that I came up with for the journaling, is that I've trimmed the edge off and then I can fit it all underneath my ho ho ho. But then also I have reprinted my journaling, and I'm just going to adhere it over the top of the other journaling. Now, like I said before, I could have left it the other way, or I could have refilmed the entire thing, but I left it on purpose so that I could share with you that sometimes things turn out a little bit different than maybe you had envisioned, and you can still work with those things despite the fact that they didn't turn out the way that you had planned. You can sort of reimagine. So that's simply all I did here, was just reprint the journaling smaller and then adhere it on top of the tag that I already had for my journaling. Now, speaking of the tag, that comes on that ephemera sheet that comes in the collection pack. Isn't that amazing? I love it. You get all the pattern papers, but then you also get an entire sheet of embellishments as well. Now, speaking of embellishments, let's add the lemon enamel dots to the little stars on the sides of the ho ho ho. I just think that is the cutest way to bring some dimension and some added interest to this layout that, as we've discussed in the previous layout, is simple but beautiful all at the same time. Now I'm going to add my handwritten journaling down here just with the date, that's all, because I do think that adding your journaling by hand is very important. Now, maybe layouts aren't where it's at for you. Maybe you love cards. Well, let's make a couple of slimline cards, shall we? That size is 3.5 by 8.5, and we are simply adhering our rose buffalo plaid paper to the front of the card. And then I have some more of those wonderful trees that we already used on that layout, right? Isn't that awesome? I did the same thing that I did before. I backed it with pattern paper, and I'm using the foam squares to adhere it to the card. Nothing crazy, nothing outlandish, but you still end up with a beautiful card that you could just pop in a standard size envelope and mail out to anyone on your Christmas list. And just think of how fun this would be to create, to send to maybe even your entire Christmas list if you started now. Am I right? I don't know, maybe that's a little ambitious, but I think it would be really fun. And these are so beautiful, especially because we're adding the dimension with the foam squares. Now I'm simply going to use that same glue pen that we used earlier to add the glue to the back of the script Christmas that we're going to add here to the card as well. But we're not quite finished yet. We are also going to add the rose enamel dots to the tree on the right, which makes those beautiful Christmas lights on that card. I just love it. I love the soft pastels for the Christmas. I'm always a big pastel fan anyway, and I just think this tied together so nicely and makes the perfect Christmas card. Now we have another one. I know, it's so exciting, right? We're going to use the same general idea, except for this time we're going to leave the pattern paper with a white border on the side and just adhere that down. You see how it gives that little extra added pop with the white card base poking out. Now we're going to adhere the trees at the same way that we did before. We're going to use the foam squares to just simply pop that right up off the page and just add that dimension to this card that at first glance appears really simple, but when you bring in all these different patterns and the dimension thanks to the foam and the enamel dots, you really have something very special. Now this time, not only am I going to use the same Christmas that we used before, but we're also going to bring in the word happy as well, so that we can really make this fun and festive for all of your Christmas cards this year. Now remember, I said it already, but we're going to have these cut files available for you to download to use on your projects. I think that's really fun and such a great bonus. And not only that, but we will definitely document all of the different information for creating every project you've seen here today on our project sheet as well. All right, so now we're bringing in each of the letters to spell out happy on top of the Christmas. And I just think that is so cute. Look at that. It's all clustered together and it looks beautiful for popping that in the mail. Now I'm just using the same glue. You saw that tiny little tip right there. It is very much just like the tip of a pen. And I love that because it's able to get into all these tiny little details because these letters are very small. They're really very much more like an alphabet sticker that you would get, but we don't need it to be a sticker because we can add our own adhesive to the back and then create our own. Now there's only one more thing to do, and you already know what that is. We just need to add our rose enamel dots, and we are all set and have two really fantastic cards that are very similar but different all at the same time. Perfect for sending this year. And look at how simple these are when you really break it down. A lot of pattern paper and cut files and enamel dots, and that's it. Perfect, right? Now that's not all. We have one last card for you today, and I am a big fan. I already added some machine stitching around the edges of both this patterned paper and then also the photo corners, but that is something that you could definitely do on your own after you've constructed the card. I just wanted to do it so that we could not waste the time off camera and we could spend all of our time together creating these beautiful pieces. Again, I'm using the foam adhesive on the back, and then we will add the photo corners as well. Now this whole day has been so much fun. I love the Christmas in July, and I hope you do too. If you are wanting to recreate these projects, you can download our project sheet as well as the cut files, and you can get all of your Back to Basics in our shop. And don't forget to use the code July25 to save 20% on all of your orders. Thanks so much for your support, and make it a great day.